Let me confirm this real quick. All right. Hey guys. Hey everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to post this video because, in case if you guys haven't heard it yet, there has been a news report of a recent accident, and this one is a tragic one involving another plane. This is Air India Flight 171, which was bound to London Gatwick, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Gatwick Airports, on June 12th. At around the time I'm posting this, it's the 12th here, but this incident occurred on the same date, on June 12th, either during the early, like the dawn or pre-morning hours of the day here in the US. Or it could have even happened yesterday evening, like late evening. So basically, just a recap. As of the moment, we have limited information, but I can tell you what I've heard, what I've read. And this, basically, what happened was that on June 12th, in India's time, this aircraft, which is a Dreamliner, Flight 171, was heading to London. However, just after its takeoff, the plane seemed to perform an unexpected approach. It was, instead of going up, it was going down to, down to the ground, and eventually the plane crashed in a hospital, killing killing everyone but one person on board, and of course those who were in the hospital at the time of the crash. Now, thank God for that one survivor. It's a miracle that he got to escape the plane and that he made it. However, I've heard on Facebook that I saw on Facebook that there is a second survivor found on the aircraft. So I'm hoping that there could be more survivors that are found in the plane rather than what is being assumed right now. But again, since this event has occurred recently, if not on the same day as right now, during the early hours, we really don't know. With the Wikipedia, it has listed 240 passengers, all dead, declared dead, and that's really tragic. But I hope that there are more survivors. Oh, 241. My bad. They list the ground injuries as unknown, but I suppose that there are doctors or people who died in the hospital too. But again, this hasn't been confirmed yet because the event is new. In this video, I might do a little bit of suspension, if that's the word, or assumptions. I'm not really, I'm not professional. I don't know anything about this event, but I'm speculating what could have caused the event. It's really tragic, but this is the only information we're given at this time. We really don't know anything else that has happened to the aircraft, and yeah. What I do know is, when I found out about the plane that this was, I was shocked because this is a Dreamliner jet, and it's my favorite kind of plane. I ever since I discovered it, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is futuristic planes. They already had dimming windows on, I believe it was a McDonnell Douglas, the McDonnell Douglas planes with the engine in their tail, or I forgot the model name. Trijet, I believe was what it was called. they had dimming windows already, but the Dreamliner features were kind of, I could say, ahead of its time, or were pioneering the future, because it had amazing designs: the light, the wings, the engines, the nose in the front. Amazing. You can even see a slope on the tail. It's like really, it's amazing. But I'm just surprised to find out that this is the first whole loss of the aircraft. If you have seen, um, in case if I flashed it to you guys here on the Wikipedia, this is the first whole loss involving the Dreamliner, and a fatal one. It's kind of ironic I'm using the Wikipedia for information, but yes, I am reading other sources, articles, that are reporting the accident. Um, and of course, this might be a delayed Wikipedia page, so if in case I reload this, this might feature new information and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that that chain of hope that I had for this amazing aircraft has been cut today. Because like I always thought, like imagine the Dreamliner doesn't lose a plane. You know, like what if it can just keep going off, having no hull losses? Like in um, I would always read in the Wikipedia talking about the Dreamliner. As of right now, there are no hull losses, but no, that didn't happen, guys. And I'm sorry for the Dreamliner lovers out there. It's sad, and it's also even sadder that there were that these people were heading to London, and they had relatives who wanted to meet them, and relatives who were waiting for them. And it's sad that they never did. So, um, sending out my prayers to them, and even hope that there could be more survivors than what's being told right now, because of that one Facebook update. So yeah, it's relatively new at the moment, so there could be new changes and stuff. Speaking of, anyways, back to the Dreamliner, or I mean, we're still talking about the Dreamliner, but to continue with the Dreamliner, I mean, even though I had those expectations where it's like I wanted the plane to fly long and without experiencing a crash, just the incidents and accidents that I will highlight on later on in a second. Um, like just like maybe like 20 plus years or 30 years where the plane could fly without dealing with crashes. But well, I think it's um, amazing how this plane has experienced that era for what is it, 14 years? Because it's what is it, 2011 was when they first released the plane. They had modeled the aircraft, or they came up with a concept long, even before the 9/11 attacks, which affected the production of the aircraft. 14 years, that's what I thought. 14 years. It had the plane experienced 14 years without dealing with any issues involving hull loss at all. And yeah, um, and I think one of those things that caused the aircraft to fly that long is because, when there were signs that something happened to the aircraft, it would get checked up on. Uh, they would ground the aircraft. If you guys have seen the news before when the aircraft just came out, especially with like ANA and Japan Airlines, the first airlines to purchase the aircraft, they would report like oil leaks, like a malfunction or something in the system. There was even one case where the plane had to do an emergency landing in one of the airports. Had none of these been spotted, if nobody knew about this, or if they did know about it but they just ignored it, they thought the plane would fly. Who knows? Maybe the 787 would have lost her first aircraft during that um, grounding era. Where they had to put those planes in the ground, like they had to leave the planes untouched for a certain time until it's deemed safe to fly again. And really, the Dreamliner has always been safe. It was designed to withstand turbulence, and it had the amazing light design features, um, which were intended to reduce jet lag. It had a design, some sort of feature in it that would make people experience lower jet lag compared to other aircraft that Boeing had created before. But last year kind of disproved that, because even with the amazing design of the plane, I don't know what it was. Either there was turbulence or the plane went through another faulty system, or both. LATAM Airlines encountered a severe moment in the air where it tossed one passenger on top of this. Uh, they hit the ceiling or something, and they got injured, and that's what caused. That's kind of those signs, besides the groundings that happened before, that made me kind of think, well, maybe it won't last. I'm kind of like, it's probably not going to happen, that the airplane won't face problems, because 2024 was kind of the year, I call it the Boeing crisis and stuff, where the planes always encountered an accident. Of course, Airbus did also, but most of the time it's Boeing planes, and so that's kind of where I was like, I don't know, we'll find out. um, but for the case of the aircraft, Air India, I think, from what I believe it is, again, don't use me as a reliable source. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about uh, what happened. I'm not an aviation expert, but I did see a video, and from how I could remember it, the plane was flying on a sunny day, just like how you see in this photo right here. However, if we look in the surveillance footage, which I'll let you guys play for yourselves in Wikipedia in case this is copyrighted, the whole sky here appears to be cloudy. And so when I first saw the footage, I was suspecting the weather may have been involved with the uh, accident. Again, not sure. I really don't know. Um, I really don't know about anything. I have to look up the videos and stuff to keep exploring what we got for now. Um, the whole airport suspended their flights. Wow. But unless this is the security camera, the quality of the security cameras that they had in the airport, it looks cloudy. And so I kind of remember, like, I remembered flights before, like Delta Airlines, American Airlines, which encountered a downburst. Um, so that may be a cause. But this is just speculation. So yeah, um, it might also involve problems with with what what the 787 had before, with other airlines that were that were operating their aircraft. So I wouldn't see a problem with that. And of course, these planes are like this one is 11 years old, so it is going to go through some sort of problem. Uh, it's going to go through, they would have to check up, they would have to do repairs and stuff. But um, if it's that long of an airline of an operation. Um, but it's once again, it's good that they didn't um, suffer once during their early years, like the Max planes did. The Max planes, they were relatively new, and people, the producers, the companies, people involved in the company, they had some knowledge about the plane, at least, whatever cost it, but um, or they designed the plane, and they assumed, or they kind of like suspected that something could go wrong with it. But the difference between this and the 737 Maxes is that this one the issues of this one were spotted earlier enough compared to the Maxes, which had lesser time. It was kind of like a too soon thing. Maybe they've done test flights before, but it was not, it was unexpected. So they only found out about the design flaws, or they confirmed the design flaws were involved in the plane's loss. The two plane accidents that occurred during its first years of operation later on. But yeah, that's those are my two uh, those are my two opinions on what may have caused this accident. From the security footage, it could have been a weather related accident. Or two, even if it wasn't the weather, if the weather was clear, just like how I remember in that one video that somebody recorded, the aircraft was flying on a sunny day, it could be some mechanical issue, considering the age of the aircraft, which is 11 years old, and the recent, incidents that have occurred prior to this one, which would mark the 787's first loss. Now, you saw the year when the photo of this particular plane was taken. It was in 2024. And another event that kind of shifted my thought or my hopes into the plane, if not made me uh, kind of like panic, like it made me want to wish that it wouldn't happen to this plane, involving a hull loss, was the competitor of the 787, which is the A350. Last year, on the New Year week in 2024, um, the A350 encountered its first hull loss in Japan after Japan experienced their New Year's earthquake. Two tragic events, in like separated between days, like just a day after. Um, and the plane that was struck was an emergency airplane. It was there it had victims on the aircraft, and I guess due to some pilot error or air traffic control error, communication error, and stuff, the plane was struck by the aircraft. The only difference, only difference between the A350 and the 787 hull losses was that the A350 already landed, and of course everyone followed the safety precautions that were taught in the safety video. So they were already in the ground. The 787 uh, was speeding up already, and so that's why no one survived the event. It didn't make an emergency landing. It didn't have time for those things. It was already kind of in the air. Uh, and that's kind of, the Japan Airlines flight where that was operating the A350 was kind of that moment where it was like, if the A350 lost its just experienced its first whole loss, I hope, what if the 787 is next? I didn't, or maybe not that ominous of a thought, but I was like, I wasn't thinking like that scary, but I was like, I really hope the Dreamliner wouldn't experience what the A350 just went through the moment it lost its first aircraft. I kind of experienced the same shock as right now when I heard about the news last year. It's crazy, it's like, and it's even shocking that the two airplanes, uh, they experienced their first whole losses a year, in 1 year. Was it a year apart? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the A350 is not its competitor. They said it was the A330 Neo. Um, but what I remember is that, uh, that's what I remember. It was the A350 that was like the competitor or the rival of the 787 aircraft. But yeah, this is just a little talk about what happened to, you know, what I've heard about the accident, what happened to the plane, and my thoughts about it. Um, I apologize if I sounded a little bit too kind of wishy washy or not clear with my explanation. Maybe I can uh, put subtitles or a description that would correct my words or would reinterpret what I was trying to say or interpret what I was trying to say in this case, because sometimes I'm trying to word things out and I don't have the word for it. So yeah, my heart goes out to those who were affected by this tragedy, those who have lost their families, and of course that one survivor who survived the air crash. And if there was a second survivor, if there are more survivors that I'm hoping for, that made it alive from that plane, or maybe might make it, maybe make it alive, sometime later, like they had a mini coma, I guess, or something. I really hope it would be that way for everyone. Like, you know, it's a tragic experience for the man who survived because even though he survived, he saw what happened. Like he saw the whole aftermath of the whole event. He saw dead bodies around him. He just ran out of the emergency exit, and that's kind of haunting if you think about it. It's like those were once alive, those were once living people, and now here he is seeing them like it's a graveyard. It's really scary for him. When he was being interrogated by people recording him, maybe the news, who are wanting to interview him, he was probably too scared. He looked really upset from the event, and so I hope he feels better. He recovers from that trauma. Um, I'm praying for his families as well. Uh, it's a whole mess. So uh, yeah, that's all I have to say about this event, and I hope I hope the best. I hope for the good things, and I'll keep on taking research on this recent tragedy. 2025 has been a wild year, guys. Right now, there's been LA protests, they're against the ice, there's been a lot. Prayers for people who are being affected in other events like the riots, and whatever's going on this year too. Other than that, stay on the bright side. I hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe, alright? Take care. Keep up with your good work, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. God bless.